Hey everyone, welcome back to the It's a Mind Game podcast. My name is Jade. I'm a personal trainer and mindset coach specializing in HA and female specific training protocols. And today I'm joined by the fabulous, my favorite, the wonderful Claudia, who is an expert nutritionist in HA and fertility. Welcome, beautiful woman. I'm so happy to see you.
Wow, what a fabulous intro. Thank you, Jade, and I'm so happy to be here once again. It has been way too long.
It's been since I had Ruben in my belly, and obviously
Yeah.
he's earthbound now. He's 4 months old,
Yeah.
which is wild. We had so many things to talk about on our first podcast back together, but I thought we'd go back to the fundamentals and dive into if it was day one of HA recovery, you've done the research, you've realized why your period's MIA. It's a little bit confusing, it's a little bit confronting. What do we do?
Hmm. It's such an important question, isn't it? What do we do? Because normally when women comes into the HA space, they have been looking for answers for a very, very long time, and they've seen multiple specialists possibly, or they've been waiting for months and months and months. And so it's really hard to understand which one is going to be step one for those women that find themselves in such an unsafe situation of not knowing what to do next.
Mm.
So let me ask you the question actually, Jade. What would you do if you had a client coming to you saying, I got a J, get me started?
Yeah, again, love this question because depending on who you ask it to, there's different answers.
Mhm.
But personally, I think the best thing you can do is absolutely nothing on day one. I just want you to record everything because I think the biggest misstep in HA recovery when women are doing it without any kind of outsider feedback or influence is that they're not as in tune with what's going on as what they think they are. So, an example of that might be a gross underestimate of nutritional intake, a gross underestimate of what their training is, perhaps an underestimate of their meal timing, or even a big one is an underestimate of their emotional roller coaster throughout the day. So, what springs to mind is so many women that we work with think they're perhaps hitting that 2000 calories, and they might be very well aware of food and intakes or using apps, but perhaps they haven't used an app in a long time, which is wonderful. That's great. But
Mhm.
we do see that removal of the app, but the calculator keeps going and they think they're hitting something and they're actually not. In the exercise format, because that amount of energy expenditure has built up over time, they think that their 1 hour session 6 days a week is just an hour, but then it goes into, oh, it's actually an hour and a half. And I'm doing 20,000 steps or 10,000 steps. And then I'm also doing yoga. And then I'm doing my Pilates. And unintentionally, all these little missteps for recovery are getting missed purely because the awareness isn't there. So I would suggest that the first step is actually to just go through your day and monitor what you're eating, what your movement is. And it can be incidental movement. Like how many of our ladies are, might be at uni and they're walking big lengths of university campuses, not realizing how much walking's involved in that. And then the emotional intake. So how often are you feeling happy throughout the day? How often are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling happy at all? Is it all anxiety? Is it all joy? Is it that intense adrenaline rush all the time? Because I think that's a big one that we miss too, that feeling of adrenaline. And we're thriving off that, thinking we're so efficient, only to realize that, oh, goodness, this is actually a cortisol surge. What are
Mm.
your thoughts?
Well, I'm so happy that you said that, which is why I asked you the same question that you asked me, because we're so divinely aligned, and that's why we work so well together. What you just said is exactly what I do with each and every client that comes to us. Whenever they join us, I normally say, okay, go home now. Fill in your lifestyle diary for the next 7 days. Tell me how often you go to the bathroom. Tell me how anxious you feel. Just rate it down on a scale of 1 to 10. How many hours you sleep? Which kind of supplements are you taking? Because most of the time they come to me with like 10, 15 supplements.
Mm.
It's such a massive investment. And the reality is that they don't need that many. Possibly they need two or three just to correct some deficiencies for a very short time. I really want to know exactly what, not only what they eat, but the quantity, the serving size, which is why sometimes I say, just post a picture if you can, just send me the picture so I have a good idea. At what time they are eating, the type of foods that they are choosing, because we're not only looking for the period to come back, but we're looking for hormonal restorations. So we need to make sure that we are supporting all those beautiful hormones. The reality is that our body is not working against us. Our body is sending us messages. So, for example, if you train too much and you spend most of your cash going and seeing physios and chiros because you're always injured or because you always have aches and pains, and we had women coming to us actually mentioning that, that's a sign that your body is in a state of stress. If you're constantly hungry or thinking about food, that's a sign that your body is nutritionally deprived, or maybe your mind also is emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically deprived. We had these beautiful women that joined the HA community in January, and when we had our first sessions, she said, I don't even care that much about the period, just fix my gut symptoms. She was experiencing constipation, she was experiencing bloating, a lot of pain, and she had so many intolerances. And she was coming from 5 years of living that kind of lifestyle where she didn't trust herself around food. Um, Not only she got her period back within 3 months, and her digestion improved to a point that now she calls herself recovered, and she doesn't even remember the last time that she had a flare, but she just finished running a marathon as well.
Hey,
Yeah,
amazing.
I know, which goes to
Periods,
show.
marathon, healed gut health. That
Yeah, so
exercise isn't the devil.
isn't the devil at all. And not only that, I just also wanted to mention this. She had the energy to change career and to find something that was more suitable for her, which is why when women come in into the HA space, I want them to have an open heart and an open mind, meaning that there are so many opportunities that can happen, and it's not only about getting the period back. What do you think about that statement, Jade?
There's two things that you said that I feel are so, so important. And I'm going to go back to the first one because I got excited and I've dropped the second. But that idea, how you said, so she's run a marathon, she's changed careers, and this comes up a lot with ED recovery in particular, I think, which is as soon as you start to restore your relationship with food, you've got so much more brain capacity to take on other areas of life and create change. And while this is inspiring, I also think it can weigh women down because they hear these stories of I recovered my eating disorder and I changed jobs, I started a new uni course, I moved house, I moved interstate, I got a new boyfriend, I split up from my boyfriend. Like
Yeah.
all these kinds of things happen during the HA recovery. And sometimes I think women can get the impression that it's all these big things must happen alongside your recovery journey in order to make it valid. But I actually think it's the other way around. I think when you're working on your relationship with food and exercise, and you can go from processing 50,000 thoughts a minute to just five, instantly your world opens up. So it's not actually you're working on 10 things alongside your HA or ED recovery. It's more you're working on that thought process and calming the mind. And then you create space for change. And that's why women come back with this feedback of, oh my gosh, I come to you for a missing period and I've ended up changing my whole life. But the two kind of feed into each other, and so much of it comes from just freeing up the brain space. And I
Mhm.
can't imagine how many women are listening to this right now. And Claudia and I know how this feels, right? Like that's half the reason the coaching works so well with the women that we speak to is because they might share something with us like, I just wanted to take on half of a banana today. I just wanted to eat half of a banana. And I cannot stop thinking about this idea. Like, I want to do it, but I don't want to do it, but I do want to do it, but I don't want to do it. And you could say that to your best friend, and they go, just eat the banana. Like, it's no big deal. But you say that to us, and we go, okay, I hear you on that because perhaps you're the person who doesn't eat fruit. Perhaps you're afraid of glucose. Perhaps you're afraid of carbohydrates. Perhaps you're unsure how your stomach's going to respond. That one little choice is quite loaded, right? So we're here for you on that journey and how to teach you to reduce the 50 thoughts associated with eating half of a banana to just two thoughts, yes or no. and linking that back into how that creates room for change. The other thing you said that was so, so important, that's right, is that the woman you're working with, she wasn't that keen on getting her period back. She was just so sick of the digestive issues.
Yeah.
I think there's such a power to women being honest with themselves and going, I actually don't give a rat's about getting my period back, but I am sick of my hair falling out. I am sick of feeling so exhausted. I am sick of being addicted to the gym in a way that doesn't actually serve me. Like I have to go and I'm not going because I want to. Or even I just want to feel better. I want to grow muscle mass. That's been coming back to me a lot lately. I'm really motivated to just grow lean muscle. That's what I want. Right. It's okay if your goal is health focused and then your period is the side effect versus I just have to get my period back and you don't actually want it that much. Because would you say in your experience, Claudia, because you've got so much more experience in this field, if women are just wanting to improve their gut health, to get their energy levels back, to find their fertility, that is a driving force to get their period back without it being the sole goal?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're in a position where you don't go to the bathroom for 3 to 4 days and you're constantly bloated, you're scared about the next meal, and you don't know what the heck is going on with you, I think that that's enough of a driver, if you ask me. And I really love what you said about untangling the brain, and stopping the overwhelm and going back to a couple of things that you can work on. And that's very much connected about when it comes to fertility and when it comes to gut health. Because if you have so many things in your brain, it means that your body is perceiving that as a state of stressor, right?
Mm.
And if your body is in a stress response, it's going to switch off the digestive system. So that's not going to be prioritized, because if there is a tiger, then it's better to run. We don't have time to sit down and have a glorious meal, right? And same thing with fertility. If we are running away from a tiger or whatever else, we need to come up with a different animals nowadays.
The tiger and lion, they always get it, don't they? We need like a buffalo or something.
Yeah, exactly. From
I
a
don't even
green
know if they're
lion,
aggressive.
a
Someone's probably going to
panda.
message and be like, buffaloes don't charge. I don't know.
They
I don't
actually
know.
do
Fact
charge.
check me. Oh, good. Okay. We're running
They
from
do
a
charge.
buffalo.
I was gonna say running away from a panda. That makes this conversation so much more cuter. But panda, they are amazing.
Come to me,
Um,
panda.
but if a panda had to come to you, you actually would run away because you're unsure of what the panda
Ugh.
wants to do, right? And that's not the best time to actually sit down with your husband and think about sex drive and having a nice and loving situation where you can actually make a baby out of it. So I think that it's on top of our step number one. I think that we also need to have a conversation about really calming down the brain, because we have 70,000 thoughts a day. And I honestly see that most of the women that work with us, when they start working with us, they actually trust those thoughts. They trust the 70,000 thoughts a day that tell them, you're not going to be able to get your period back. You're not going to be able to become a mom. You're going to have to gain 15 kilos. This is not going to work for you. It's just going to work for Jane and Kate, but it's not going to work for your specific situation. You're a loser. Your belly is already so flabby. Your BMI is already great. The endocrinologist has told you that your blood test are normal.
It's fine.
Yeah, everything is fine, which is also one of the reasons because I am gonna run a workshops on blood work, because I really want women to be educated on what to read when it comes to having the blood work done. I want women to really know how to advocate for their own health. But anyway, going back to our step, let's say number two, it's more about retraining the brain to focus on just a couple of things, exactly as you said, instead of the totality of their life, and instead of going to the worst case scenario. So maybe for someone listening today, they may think, oh, so if I get my period back, I can change my career and I'm going to have so much energy and I'm going to be able to change my partner. It doesn't always work that way. And maybe there is no need to, because it's completely okay to simply get the period back,
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And
but
everything's perfect. Yeah.
correct. But it's also that reminder, don't compare yourself and really focus on the little things that you can do that in the short and long term are gonna give the most benefit.
Mm. I do believe there is a skill in learning how to pick a lane. And I know that's like the
Yeah,
corniest thing said, but when you're thinking about those thoughts spinning around in your mind, half the reason they last for as long as they do is because we continue to entertain them,
absolutely.
right? And for while we don't have the practice to restrict, right, which in HA land and ED land, don't restrict, don't have discipline, don't do anything, just go with the flow. I truly believe in early days we do need to restrict things, we do need to hold back, and we do need strategy, because otherwise everything goes crazy and at play. And there's a lesson in being able to go, hang on, I'm not doing this 70,000 thoughts thing today about the banana. I'll just reference that back because that's all the example
Hmm.
earlier. I'm just going to go yes or no. And if it turns out that today is a no, it's just not the best day for me to try that food, it's okay. Like, you don't have to sit there and ruminate on the fact that you couldn't do it today, but you do need the strategy to go, okay, for whatever reason, today's not the day, but tomorrow I am. I'm going to commit to myself and I'm going to make it happen, and following through with it. Because as soon as you can pick the lane and commit, that's when your confidence is going to grow. I I think even confidence can be misunderstood, and the idea that we need to be confident to take on action, or I actually think it's the opposite. I think we need to collect the data, right? Collect the evidence that, oh, hang on, I had that banana and my digestion was okay. My emotions was that the world was going to end and it turned out it didn't. I felt a bit uncertain, but I was okay. Or that I had a little bit more energy. Or, you know what, turns out I don't even like bananas. 5 years ago, I ate them, they were great. And right now, I don't really like it. But what you extract from that is you had the capacity to do it. And every time you extract that, you start to build the confidence that you can make change. New things are okay. And more than any, is that you can actually go from having a bajillion thoughts about a food choice to I can be a yes or a no. And that's where we want the confidence to come from. If you're in this path expecting confidence first, you're being misled. Do you
Absolutely.
agree?
There is actually something that I normally say is to not click on the ad. You know, when you are on Facebook, for example, and you have decided to buy a Hoover, and all of a sudden you click on a ad, and all of a sudden you're seeing all these ads about Hoovers and all these posts about Hoovers. Same thing with our thoughts. Don't click on the ad. Don't click on that thought, because as soon as you entertain it, then it's going to run wild. So, for example, if you entertain the thought that if I eat a full banana, I'm gonna gain weight and I'm gonna feel so stuffed and I'm gonna be so uncomfortable. You can definitely click on that, and that's basically gonna ruin the whole experience. And chances are that nothing is gonna happen because you're not gonna be brave enough to have that half of a banana, right?
Mhm.
But if instead, um, with some guidance as well, because possibly at the moment the person doesn't really know how to change their thoughts, but with some guidance, you start to tap into the abundance mentality, and you start challenging yourself, and you start to bring in trust, self-compassion, kindness, and also deeply knowing that the science is backing you up when it comes to say one banana is absolutely okay. And obviously there are some disclaimer when I say that one banana is fully okay, not so much if you have a specific gut conditions and possibly if you have diabetes. But anyway,
As a
that's an
generalized, yeah,
yeah, it's a
Gen pop.
generalized statement. Exactly. You know, one banana is gonna be absolutely okay. And worst case scenario, what is gonna happen? That you made a win, so you allow yourself to have the full banana, that you're not gonna like it, and possibly that you're gonna feel uncomfortable. But we all have 100% experiences that we can move through the discomfort and we can grow from it, or we can make different decisions after that.
Mhm.
But I also would like to say that it's so much easier to go through this process and go through all these changes when there is someone that is keeping you accountable, that is supporting you, and is also guiding you and have knowledge about the topic of mindset, nutrition, and exercise. And obviously, hormones and women's health.
Absolutely. I had this analogy on a podcast 2 days ago, and I feel like it's a nice finisher for this conversation that we're having. And I would love to hear your feedback on it too. But what it was is, you're in a burning building, right? There's four doors available to you. roof's crashing down, it's very, very hot, you've got to get out, right? In that situation, you just pick a door. You just hope for the best. Hopefully that's the right door. Hopefully I can get straight out. And our minds, sometimes when we've got those 70,000 thoughts going on, can be like the burning building, where rather than sitting there looking and going, oh, which is the best door to choose, and you're wasting time in this burning building that's falling down, you just need to pick one. And in respect to making changes in HA and ED recovery, sometimes that's your best path, because so many women are incredibly well educated on nutrition, on training, even on mindset, that they pick something and then they can counteract the argument with other evidence. And then they go back and forth, but this doctor said this, and this psychologist said this, and this nutritionist said this. And all of a sudden, they've got well-backed evidence counteracting every single choice, because so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. Linking that into the burning building is that your doors could be all of the advice you've listened to from podcasts, from YouTubes, from books, from specialists, from, professionally backed people. And sometimes you've just got to pick the door and run, right? Sometimes you've just got to pick the lane and run. And in that process is the confidence building, because I made a good choice. And that good choice literally could be, as you described, just learning something. I can do it. I like it. I don't like it. The world didn't end. I can make this decision. There's so much more in it than just the banana, because that's where we started. What are your thoughts on the burning building analogy?
I actually would love to give you a different analogy in terms of the burning building, just to close off this chapter. Lots of women that come to hypothalamic amenorrhea thinking, okay, my body's to blame. I cannot trust my body. Why I don't have the period? So if you're in a burning building and the smoke alarm goes off, you don't get angry with the smoke alarm. And the smoke alarm is your missing period. You don't start shouting and getting angry at the smoke alarm, like, why are you ringing? The reality is that the building is on fire. So the smoke alarm is actually telling you, get out of this situation fast, and trust the people that are going to be out there, the fire workers, helping you to get out of the building, follow their instructions. And that's how I see this HA recovery journey. That your period missing is the fire alarm is actually saving you. And the firemen are actually people like us that are going to be there to support you. And the fire are all the things that you're implementing on a day-to-day that are really counterproductive, actually, to your health and living a full life. And I think that I just would like to share this, because lots of women have so much anger in regards to what their body is doing, but most of the time it's just a blessing in disguise.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I love that so much more than the example that I gave, because it's the perfect scenario, which is our period is the ultimate signal of you need to do something.
I think that they were both very cool.
But yours was just compelling.
I'm gonna take the panda to the next podcast. By the way, that's what I'm gonna take from this podcast.
I absolutely love. I love that. It's a smoke alarm. Don't shout at the smoke alarm.
Yeah,
it's trying to save you.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. I love
Maybe
it.
there is a panda inside the house. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I promise you, I'm gonna stop.
No, I love it. Well, you know what? Maybe that's your friendly reminder. There is smoke alarms everywhere. Right. So if you're at home, if you're in the office, if you're walking around the shopping center and you see a smoke alarm, it's a positive reminder for you to go, you know what? My body doesn't hate me. It's trying to save me. Imagine thinking that multiple times a day. It's quite nice. My body's saving me. Look at a smoke alarm and go, my body's actually saving me.
Love that.
My love, thank you so much for our chat today. It's been so long, and we blasted through this time in.
My goodness, it's already half an hour.
I feel like I blinked. Where can everybody find you on Instagram if they haven't already?
Instagram, ha.fertility.nutritionist. Otherwise, YouTube. My YouTube channel is growing. I am 1.1k subscribers, Jade. I'm so excited.
Congratulations.
And it's Nourished by Claudia. And same as Facebook. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for joining us, ladies. Jump on and find Claudia online. As for me, Jade Cameron, Jade with a double E, and I will put the links for both of us in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe because it really helps the channel. And as always, feel free to reach out if you would like some help on your HA recovery journey. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed the episode and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.